Today, I'm going to show you how I built this magnificent piece.
And before the video starts, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it.
It's crafted with precision and style. This sleek design is sure to elevate your home office. But it's not just a desk, it's a work of art, designed and built by me, with one of its legs infused into the beautiful bedside cabinet. Join me on the journey where I make this desk.
This long ass piece is going to be used for this beautiful desk that I'm about to make. I'm going to lay down the whole piece,
Mark and meter.
lock these into place, secure the piece, plug the power in, and then finally rip through the piece. So now that I cut a 1 meter piece here, we're going to slide this down and cut off another meter.
Cutting through once more to end up with 2 big slabs.
Now I'm going to put this length to the sides here are going to be used for the tabletop of the desk. But these pieces are too thick for the tabletop. I'm going to cut them half in thickness and then I'm going to end up with 4 slabs for the tabletop of the desk. To cut this piece in half long way.
So I'm trying to cut the thickness of the slabs in half, but my blade isn't long enough to cut that large slab. So I've got to cut them up in half, and then I can finally cut the thickness.
So now we've got these 400mm thick pieces. Now it's time to cut the thickness in half. I want the thickness of the tabletop to be 22mm. 22.
So after these cuts, I'm going to end up with 8 pieces I can stick together to make the tabletop.
Finally, we've cut out 8 100mm pieces. Cut the edges off to make it 90 degrees on both sides of all 8 pieces.
So they're not going to glue up perfectly if I don't cut them 90 degrees on each side. So that's exactly what I'm doing here.
These here are 8 pieces. Now it's time to glue them up to make the tabletop. So I like to lay them out on these pieces here. And this will make sure that they're all flat. Clamps.
So to make sure I get the glue nice, I spread it out with my finger and then put it in together and clamp them up.
These are 3 of the 8 pieces. Now what we're going to do is wait for it to dry up. Do 3 more pieces, then the 2 other pieces, and then glue everything together, and that's our tabletop. You can see here 3 lengths are glued. Time to take the clamps off and glue the next one. These 3 glued up, now it's time to glue the next 3. As you can see here, I got 1 3 length and the other 3 length. Now we're going to glue 2 more pieces together. These pieces, and try and make them look much better. Get rid of the glue marks and make it ready for the desk tabletop. Now hopefully sending it through the planer a bunch of times is going to get rid of all these glue marks and all the disgusting stuff.
The planer didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but the belt sander did a lovely job.
Look at this, much smoother. Now when I was gluing this up before, it created a curved edge. So what I'm going to do now is just run the blade through this edge here and straighten it up.
Finally, we can start putting the whole tabletop together.
So the whole top is glued up. Now it's time to cut these edges here.
Once these edges are cut, we can finally move on to the next part.
Now it's time to cut the other edge. Alright, that's the tabletop. It's time to start the legs. Slab here is going to be used for the legs. This piece here is just going to be for the back legs of the desk. So I'm going to mark 102mm from this side, 38mm from the other side.
Now, because of my genius engineering, I've made a jig that's allowed me to cut this leg on an angle. In total, I needed 4 legs, so this was the second leg I was cutting up. And then we need to cut the width, so I cut the width of both the legs I made.
All right, now that we've cut up the back legs, it's time to cut up the front legs.
After breaking yet another drill piece, I drilled in exactly where I wanted the screws to go in the jig so I could cut the front legs perfectly for the desk. So I made the jig, made the cuts, and then cut the thickness in half.
So for the next part, we have 3
Leg compartments that we're gonna have to sand each of these pieces.
Then once they're sanded, we can start to finally arrange them and glue them up.
Although sanding is most boring, it is one of the most important parts of woodworking. It really makes the wood come to life.
All right, so this is how the legs are gonna look. That.
So I had to cut off a large surface area of one of the front legs and the back legs to make the design look cool.
All right, I've glued this on here. Now we're gonna cut this one and glue that one on.
Same thing, but from a better angle. Cutting through it 1 millimeter at a time until it ends up with a piece like this.
Okay, now this part's real simple. Get the glue, put it on there, glue some on there. Now I'm gonna do some measurements and clean everything up.
Now the first step is to get 20 550 millimeter marabou strips.
And I've got these long pieces here that I'm gonna chop up into 550 millimeter lengths.
And I'll leave you with a little montage of me making these 25 pieces.
So I'm gonna cut off a couple millimeters of each marabou part so they glue up nice.
So it took a while cutting up these 25 pieces.
Now we have our 20 pieces all ready to be glued up. I'm gonna do 4, 5, 5, and 4. Let's get to it.
The camera angles for these is shocking, but I glued up all the sides one by one.
Now we've got our 4 sides of the cabinet. What we've got to do now is cut a 45-degree miter on one side of the cabinet to glue them up nice.
Cutting up these 45-degree miters is going to make them glue perfectly in a box.
Now, so with each piece, I've cut off a 45-degree miter on each side. Now I'm going to clean up this and cut 90 through there, through there. Now that I've cut them up, cut the miters up, it's time to sand the boards so they're nice and sanded.
Sanding is definitely the most boring thing to do and to film, but is one of the most important parts of woodwork.
And each of these pieces are nicely sanded. But let's sand it some more. Let's sand it more with the orbital. 40, 120, 400, 800.
I'm not sure why I was so excited on this day to sand, but I was getting really into sanding and the film process of sanding.
1, 2, 3, 4. We've sanded them all nice, all 4 of them. It's time to finally glue it up into a box.
Now you're going to see why I made those 45-degree miters, because it's just so easy to put it up in a box.
I'm going to show you the method in which I use to make sure that these are glued nice, 90 and perfect.
45-degree thingies I made, so when I clamp it together, it glues up perfectly. So I screw one in on one side and then I screw one on the other side.
And the reason I put these on is when I glue it up, I can grab a clamp. Then I clean the glue off. See, I put the screws in one there and one there. And now I drag these up, clamp them. Alright, so we got the box all done, and guess what that means? More sanding. I'm going to use this piece to join the 2 legs together.
And this piece was a big one, because she was hard to cut through. I needed 2 members to join the legs, and luckily, cutting him in half was the perfect solution. And just like every other piece, I cut the edges, sanded it, and made it nice.
So we made this far into the video. We got the tabletop, one of the legs, one of the other legs, the members that are gonna join the legs, and the bedside table. Just gotta put it back on the bedside table, cut one of the legs up, and then we can start putting everything together. Near the end of the video, I reckon chuck it a like, subscribe, do all that.
So this is me chopping up the back of the bedside table and then chopping off the infused leg that's gonna sit on the bedside table.
Now it's time to join the legs to the table.
First thing I do is set everything up nice, glue, clamp, and then screw.
So I'm gonna wait for this to glue up, screw it up, and then I'm gonna put the bedside table on that leg there.
So you drill a hole and then drill the bolt in.
All the bolts are in, let's turn her over. This is gonna be the back of the cabinet, and what I'm gonna do is sand it, cut it up nice, and then glue it to the back of the cabinet.
Cut them 90 here. Sand it. And then glue it on to the back of the cabinet. Then I glued the cabinet onto the infused leg.
This is the final step. I'm going to sand everything. Time to varnish the desk.
Then this little montage here is me varnishing it for the first time.
Make the drawers out of this wood here. And for the front of the doors, we're going to use marabou.
And I also added mini pine strips to make the design look cooler. So I had to glue up the drawers and then cut them perfect to their dimensions. Then I did some calculations and added the drawer slides. Then I had to sand the cabinet doors. Here I am screwing the doors into the drawers. And then with the second coat of varnish. Final step, putting the golden handles on the drawers.
So you made it this far into the end of the video. I want you to like, subscribe, comment, really helps the algorithm. This piece of architecture, I'm really proud of it. I've got a lot more videos coming on the way. Each video, each product gonna get bigger, better, and more exciting. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm just gonna leave you with some footage of the desk.